Paul, Catalina, Garrett, Ross. It's just the Monday mayhem. So the three teams I want to talk about here: Arizona State beats Mississippi State.
Yep.
And you got to see Dilly Ball. If you stayed up that late,
which I struggled to.
Which I didn't. I did
get to see CJ Fight's touchdown, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, but I didn't get to see any of the rest of it. No, they've got some talent at Arizona State. He's brought in some talent. I don't know if they have the depth to like prolong this, but Kenny Dillingham is one of the more exciting young coaches in the country, and you can see that. I think they're going to have spots of this where they have, and you saw it a little bit last year where they have, good games or things, that Cam Scatabo, like all they've good players there, really good players. And Alton McCaskill's
there. I was going to say they got
McCaskill
too. Yeah.
Yeah. McCaskill's there now too. Sam Levitt was a 4-star quarterback, so he's working with a really good quarterback coach. I mean, one of the coaches who made Bo Nix a first-round pick, and after he was not before.
Nowhere near.
And so Arizona State was very intriguing to me. BYU made SMU play exactly the way that BYU wanted that game to go. Like I just got the feeling watching it when I could, I had to produce that game the other night, but it was a really ugly game.
It was ugly.
But BYU needed it to be ugly. Like they made it ugly and kept it ugly. And then SMU could never put lipstick on the pig. Mm-hmm. They could never do it. They just couldn't. And Preston Stone didn't play. And now they've they have a.
So no, what happened was in that game, they put Preston Stone out there. And BYU had the perfect game plan because every time he dropped back, they would blitz and they rocked him. And so they had to adjust and they had to bring in their backup quarterback to be more mobile. Yeah. And Jennings, I mean, he was – and I'm kind of concerned right now with Preston Stone because that's 2 games where when he's gone out there, he has not looked good at all, and Jennings has had to come save the day. Now, given his – I guess trajectory on what people expected him to be, you're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. But – man, if he can't step up, like there's a good chance he's not going to be there next year because he's a statue in the pocket, man. And people have figured that out. And all you got to do is if you have anybody even half as athletic as what BYU could do and you could throw at them, they're in trouble at SMU.
Keep saying those things because I got to go there in 2 weeks.
If your defensive line can live up to their names.
Yeah, I don't. I'm just trying to glean any kind of good news off of college football that I can right now. And then Houston, who UNLV absolutely just shredded. They go to Norman, and they kind of did to Oklahoma what BYU did to SMU. And I don't know what's going on with that offense there.
In Norman?
Like I expected to be much, much, much more lethal.
Well, I know,
against Houston, but it was not.
They're missing some playmakers.
Nick Anderson didn't
play. They don't have like the threats on the outside that you typically expect from an Oklahoma team, and maybe that's just the playmakers that we got accustomed to that Stoops was able to roll in, and then Lincoln Riley was able to do that. But with Venables being a defensive-minded guy, they haven't really been able. It's like they're building up on the trenches, the defense first, and then slowly working their way over and trying to address that. But it's not on par to what you expect from Oklahoma. And watching this game, it kind of reminded me of last year where Houston comes out against Texas in a game that they had no business competing in and literally should have won. Yeah. That's the exact same thing they did, or very reminiscent to UCF going up into Norman last year and giving Oklahoma trouble. But like Jackson Arnold's a really good quarterback. I just am concerned about the depth at the offensive line for them, especially once they get into SEC play. But I mean, hats off to Houston for going in there and because after that first week, I don't think Houston should have been blown out if that was any indication.
Yeah. Eye patch, SMU O-line is weak.
Yep.
Don't give the team down south too much credit. Both QBs were a joke statistically. I'm fascinated by all this going on, especially in light of Florida State losing the first couple weeks, and everybody kind of jumps on that they're the biggest disappointment. And guess what? There's a whole bunch of us.
They're one of them.
There's a whole bunch of us. We are legion. We are the college football disappointing group of teams, and there are many of us.
LSU's over there with you.
LSU let Nickel State have the time of their lives for a while.
They're so bad. And Jacoby and Gollery's gone for the year now. They're in trouble.
Yeah, following along with that game, I kept thinking it was earlier than it was when I was watching the score. I was like, oh, this must have just started.
No.
And then I was like, and then they finally put on the, put it on them at the end.
Good plays.
But it, they've shown weaknesses.
Yeah.
And I just think that this is let's get used to this in college football where it's going to be below about the top 7, a bit of a mess. And
I'm not here for it though.
I'm here for it. And here's another thing. The teams that are up here right now, there's a balance coming back, and it's affecting, it comes from the bottom up. Right. And then, so the tide's rising where teams like Northern Illinois can go in and win at Notre Dame and play gritty and tough and hard and never for a minute look like they shouldn't have been there.
Just like
never for a minute.
Just like Boise State.
Yeah. Boise State gave Oregon all they wanted. I don't think that's as much of an indictment as Oregon as I do as it is. Boise State's really good.
Really
and they have who I think should be the Heisman favorite right now in Ashton Jeanty. If Oregon struggles again and again, then I'll be ready to do that. But
they do this every year. Oregon skits off like this every year doing this stuff.
I mean, Boise's really good. They have they have one of the best players in the country. Nobody's really going to have a lot of answers for him. I mean, he's got 9 touchdowns in 2 weeks. He's averaging 10 yards a carry. He's ridiculous. So let's before now look, Oregon's in the in the warning zone. They gotta
be careful this week in the Apple Cup.
If it was the tornado warning, they would be in an area it could come to you, leave your TV on, get ready to get in the closet and cover your head. But they're not there yet. As where teams like FSU, Notre Dame, Auburn,
Texas A&M,
A&M, we'll see. We'll see. A&M's probably there with LSU's in that with them over here. Oregon, A&M's over there with them. Notre Dame losing at home to a school that they were 28-point favorites, shows you, it's time. It's time. The tornado's in your area, that, and how you react to that is going to be the teller for the rest of the season.
So there's a couple of games we haven't hit on, and I know the Texas Tech. What the hell is going on with Texas Tech?
Yeah, you want to talk about
Let's
a team
go with
that's
Texas Tech.
You want to talk about a team that's batting down the hatches.
Yeah,
they're there. Yeah, no, they may be wanting to get whisked off to Oz right now because their defense is not good.
Abysmal.
Their offense was not good against Washington State at all. They got absolutely shredded in the Palouse there, and my gosh, Joey McGuire has got to be really searching for answers, and I don't think he's anywhere close to the hot seat, but I do think he's probably going to be in the you need new coaches situation at the end of this year.
Yeah, and I think we've touched on it a little bit, and Craig brought it up about how they were super quiet in Lubbock this year, and you wondered why. And it was more so, I guess we kind of thought, was it you got out a little over your skis last year, you wanted to hone some of that in, and that would make more sense. But as the season's unfolded, maybe it was they saw some glaring issues and knew they shouldn't even talk, because I don't know how you really fix this defense at this point. And then the way your offensive line's been hit or miss, you still got to be concerned if Barrett Morton stay healthy.
The thing that I think is crazy is that Joey McGuire, he's kind of more defensive minded at heart. You go out and you run that wide open offense at Texas Tech because it's what you can recruit to. But I mean, he's fallen in the latest line of coaches that have not been able to figure out a defense out there. And I don't know what it is, but yeah, I I'm shocked at how bad on defense they are. Not that I expect them to all of a sudden be Georgia, but I thought that they would get the balance in.
That's a good way of putting it.
Like they would get more balance to where they wouldn't have to either come from behind because they fell behind, or they wouldn't have to constantly ward off. Like, okay, yes, we're like they did against Abilene Christian, where it's like, oh God, like, can we just end this game? Like, go. Yeah, I thought they'd be a little bit better than that, but right now they're in it. They are absolutely in it. They're absolutely in it, and they're lucky not to be 0-2. I think that if ACU gets to the 2-point conversions, they're in trouble. Like,
they are.
I understand they're thinking, let's go win this thing on the road, but I'd rather have more opportunities than just that 2-point conversion. I would rather let's trade off with them and see what happens, kind of a thing, because that had been working for them. But yeah, they've got North Texas coming up next. It's another wide open offense. Chandler Morris is playing well in it right now with Eric Morris, the Tech guy. So yeah, it's and look, the Big 12 and ACC, like, what is it? 7 of the top 8 teams are SEC teams now. 6 of the top 7.
It would be, should be 7 of the
Yeah. So look, the SEC is here. The Big 10 is here this year, and that's mostly because
being generous.
I mean, that's like mostly because like we don't know about Oregon yet. We don't know who Penn State's pretty good. I mean, clearly
they had a rough weekend.
They had a rough weekend.
Bowling Green should have beat them.
Yeah, that's a trap game though. I mean, yeah, but Bowling Green gave them all they wanted, and then you have the ACC and Big 12 here. If you watch what they've done now. Credit to Clemson's offense. They went out and scored 66 points. Unfortunately, 33 of them can't count backwards. Because then that would have maybe Dabo thought like, hey, can we apply all the points that we need from this game to the last one? So then Georgia gets to do that too, I guess. But Clemson went out, and I don't want to say they fixed their offensive problems, but they showed something.
That was kind of my thing. It's like Georgia's defense is legit, and Clemson's defense is really good.
Yeah.
They just wore down.
Yeah.
But the inconsistencies from Cade Klubnik, and you finally saw it click a little bit. Now he's got to be able to bring that and be consistent. I don't think they could do what they did to App State by any means on a regular basis, but if you could get half of that production, or if you could at least score into like the low 30s, you should be able to win a majority of your games if you're Clemson in the ACC.
Yeah. And Clemson is off this week.
They need that.
So, if I'm reading this right, and I think that I am because I'm literate. Yeah, Clemson's first bye is this week. So we'll see how that goes for them. I get to watch Memphis and Florida State, 11 o'clock kickoff after we're done with the pregame here, from the comfort of my own home by myself, because my wife and my mom are going on a cruise together. So
you a little nervous?
Yeah, little nervous.
Little?
I'm a lot of nervous. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up. We'll look ahead to this